Hey there, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Radcliffe.
If you're watching YouTube Live or Facebook Live, there on the screen is Dr. Frank Cox. He has led North Metro Baptist Church for 41 years. Wow. Doc,
Yeah.
how are you?
Do what now?
I said, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I thought you was going to ask me how old I was. Yes, I've been here 41 years,
So you're 41 years old. That's how old you are.
Yeah, I started when I was a kid. I want you to know that.
We'll call you 45 just to make it safe, okay?
That's a good deal.
How about that?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit. 41 years at one church. That's
Yeah.
almost unheard of, isn't it?
Yeah, Rick, you know what? I came here back in 1980. It's my first church out of seminary. So this is the only church. I had a seminary pastorate for 3 years, and I came here. And I just love my people, and they put up with me. And, somebody asked me the other day, I was preaching up in the mountains, and somebody said, man, how in the world have you stayed for 41 years? I said, they didn't want much of a preacher, and I'm not much of one. And so we just kind of worked together, But I came here as a young pastor, and you don't come with an idea you're going to stay at one church all your life. But then at the same time, we started going through stuff as a church. My first year was great. Halfway through my second year was great. But about my third year, the church started taking on a different mindset. It started taking on my mindset. And we were a rural location on the outskirts of Atlanta. And everybody in the world started moving to Gwinnett County.
Yeah.
And that caused a lot of tension, it seemed like, in the church at that time, because they were having people move in from up north that didn't talk Southern, and they were starting to sit in their seats. And so, we went through a couple of years of just tension. And as our church was making the mindset shift, during that time, my first wife, Debbie, came down with a malignant brain tumor and was dying. And man, I was being sifted by God. But I tell you what, God had a wonderful plan. It was during that time of my wife's sickness that I just kind of wedded myself to our church and our people, and they wedded themselves to me. And we've just stuck together all these years, and it's been a great ministry. It really has.
Dr. Frank Cox from North Metro Church. Easy for me to say.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking before we started live here, and you were talking about how you are moving a church. You have moved the church once, and you're going to move it again. Talk about what's going on there.
Well, Dan, we were founded in 1893, and I'm not the founding pastor, okay? and so we were founded in 1893. We've been on one location up into 1995. And in 1995, we moved out to our present location, which at that time was further out. And it was a great move. But now everything that happened to us on Pleasant Hill Road is happening to us again. Mall. Somebody said they're going to find out where I'm moving and buy all the land around it because the mall's going to be coming. That we had 2 malls come to our location. And so commercialization is kind of pushing us out. And then back about 5 years ago, we started taking a look at everything in our county, everything around us. And I told my team, I said, you know what, I'm going to force y'all to make some tough decisions. And one of the decisions was, are we going to just have a campus here? Or are we going to start a campus further up the road and have 2 campuses? And that's kind of where we were heading. And then the more we did our study, all of a sudden a developer showed up and said, hey, we'd like to buy all your property. And so I tell you, it's a story of God. And so we voted to sell, and had about 1,000 people here that night that voted, and we voted to sell. And then we voted on Sunday night. The next Thursday, we closed down for pandemic. You talking about, gosh, you look and say, God, are we on your time in here?
Yeah.
And so shut down for 3 months. And during that time, God started doing some work in our church's life. We had a withdrawal from the first contract. And then it got quiet for about 3 or 4 months. Then in January, all of a sudden I had 4 contracts offered to me on our property. Wow. And it was funny. The first developer said, "You'll never see this amount of money again." And the second contract that we have signed under has far gone past that contract. Wow. And I want to tell him, God didn't slow down when he passed that first figure. Now he's at the second figure. But during that time, God has upped the contract to give us the money we need to buy the property we're going to. And so it's just been a God thing. Wow. My church is excited about it. It's going to put us in a position to reach more people. 80,000 people moving to Brazelton and Houston. Yeah. And back when we moved out here in 1995, people would drive 25, 30 miles to come to church. And times have changed. And, you know, we have people from 7 counties and 32 cities that were coming. And as time has passed, people are more local. And so we're going to relocate our church to the area where the boom is. Mm-hmm. And we've always been a growing church. And we're looking forward to reaching a lot of people that way.
Awesome.
Good on you guys. Dr. Frank Cox, he is the lead pastor there at North Metro Baptist Church, 41 years pastoring there, and just never stopping, just continuing to grow. You mentioned something about that 3-month period, I think, where you didn't hear anything. How did you stay on course in that time? I mean, you're a veteran. Yeah. I'm sure that you've gone through similar challenges in different ways, but how do you keep a church focused in that little? It's almost like the Old Testament says seed time and harvest. It's the time part is the challenge, right?
It's waiting on God. And you know, when that first developer told me, said, "You'll never see this amount of money again," my response was simple. Hey, God's got this. And said, if this is God's plan, then God's going to provide at the right time. I talked to my church about that. I do think it helps when you relocate a church, you've got a little bit of seasoning under your belt, and that they realize they've watched you make decisions over the years. And so we just kept doing church, and we kept preaching the word and kept talking to them every now and then about, hey, God's got a wonderful plan for us. And at the right time, God showed up. And when God showed up, he showed up. I love it when God shows up and he shows out at the same time.
Yeah.
And so when we came back to the church with the second offer, they knew by waiting upon God that God's plan is always perfect. He's never early. He's never late. He seems to always be right on time. So we have to zero in on that time with God and wait on him.
Dr. Frank Cox, North Metro Baptist Church. Dr. Cox, what is the heart of your church?
The heart of my church is that we exist to make fully devoted followers of Christ. In order to disciple them, we got to reach them. And so we have always had in our DNA as a church that we want to be a church that reached lost people. We built our church over the years, reaching the unchurched. Now, you know, as your church grows, you begin to gather people who move in from other churches and that kind of stuff. But our whole heartbeat has always been to find that next one that needs to be reached and to share the good news of Christ with them. We do it through all kinds of different ways. We do it through direct evangelism of just going. We still go out and knock on doors.
Wow.
Once a month. You know, our church, where we used to have it every Tuesday night, we now do it on a Sunday night once a month. Have about 100 of our people go out, and some stay behind and write notes of encouragement. But a lot of people go out and knock on doors and just invite people to come. And as the Lord opens the door to share Christ, we share Christ with them. And we've seen a lot of folks saved. I do a thing. I'm chaplain at Collins Hill High School out here in Gwinnett County for their football program. That's ranked number 1 in the state right now and number 7 in the nation. I mean, we got a great team. But every year I've been doing this for 25 years. We started about 4 years ago having a night of champions. And I went to all the football coaches in Gwinnett County and said, hey, before we start hitting on each other, why don't we come together for a night of inspiration? And so my church invests heavily financially. We feed the football teams. We feed the head football coaches in a different dinner, but we feed all the football teams, give every player a gift. 1 year we gave every one of them a Bible. And you'd be amazed how many athletes in Gwinnett County has never had a Bible.
Wow.
We give them T-shirts, those kind of things. And I bring a speaker in. First year we did David Pollock, that used to play for University of Georgia. And then second year we had Gus Malzahn, who was then the head coach at Auburn. And then this past July, I brought in Mark Rick. And so it's a very simple format. I sit on the platform with the speaker and I interview them, just like y'all are doing me right now. And I ask them pertinent questions to their life and their coaching or their playing, and then they set me up to share the gospel. And when Gus Malzahn was here, we had about 180 boys pray to receive Christ.
Wow.
This past time of Mark Rick, we had 136 boys pray to receive Christ.
Wow.
And it's just low key, just sharing the gospel. And then we take all those responses and we give them back to the coaches and share with them about, hey, here's on your team who has accepted Christ. And then we also make sure their chaplain of their football team has a copy of it so they can encourage the boys in their walk with Jesus. And so we try to open up, I call that a side door evangelism. We try to open up opportunities. This summer, our church, we started a Feed the Hungry during the summer back about 5 years ago. This past summer, we fed over 60,000.
Wow.
In an 8-week period. And when that bell rings in May, there's a lot of kids in Gwinnett County. We think of Gwinnett County as affluent. There's a lot of kids who walk out of those school halls who don't have anything to eat unless we feed them. And so we partner with Must Ministries out of Cobb County, Ike Reichard.
Yep.
Ike's a good man.
Yeah, we're college mates. I could tell you stories about Ike.
Oh, well. Let's go on for another couple of segments here.
Stories I could tell you about Ike Reichard, but he's a great guy, and we've been life friends. And so anyway, we partner with them, and that thing has just grown. And people, we carry food to some families come to the church and they go through our line, pick up their meals, their food. And then we have a station for them to be prayed for. We just ask a simple prayer. Is there anything we can pray with you about? And you wouldn't be shocked at the burdens these people are carrying. And especially in a pandemic time. And then once we pray with them, we ask them simple questions about their relationship to the Lord. And you'll be amazed how many people will say, I'd like to hear more. And we have a station of people. They don't ever leave their cars. I mean, this is all in the car. This is moving from station to station in our parking lot. Then we lead them to the last station, which we have teams of about 4 teams of about 3 each. And they're there to just share the gospel. And man, we've had 25, 30 this summer get saved, come to know Christ just by our people making themselves available to take care of physical needs. That gave us the opportunity to share about their spiritual needs. And so that's our church. That's who we are. And that's what we're trying to do, is just make life better for people by introducing them to Jesus and hopefully reach them as a church and disciple them.
Love that. Dr. Frank Cox, the lead pastor there at North Metro Baptist Church. If you'll check out the website, northmetro.net, there are all kinds of resources there, some videos of their Sunday services. Pretty amazing. In fact, Dan, if you watch the worship, I'm assuming that's the leader, the gentleman that's leading. He kind of looks like Gary who works at our company, just a little bit.
You talking
Yes.
about my music guy?
Yeah. So I don't know if they were separated at birth, but they look alike to me. The great
Yeah.
message. I just watched a message this morning from Dr. Cox. It was amazing. Well, Doc, you and your wife, Mary, have 3 children, 5 grandchildren. Your hobbies are traveling. I want to know where you're going to go when you can travel. Have you traveled yet?
Yeah, we just got back from the Caribbean. We love going down to St. John's. We've been doing that for 25 years.
Beautiful.
And for me, I've learned that if I take 2 weeks at a time, I get refreshed.
Yeah.
And so we go down and spend two weeks in July every year down at St. John's. We love going to Israel, getting ready to carry my 14th group to Israel after Christmas, if everything keeps opening up.
Yeah.
And we will carry total on the trip. I think somewhere it's going to be a neighborhood of about 70 or 80, but about 40 out of our church here. My wife has got a great idea. At least it sounded great when she came up with it. And that was every time one of my grandkids turns double digits, like 10, from 9 to 10.
Yeah.
We carry them on a trip. So my first grandchild, Bailey, she got to go to Israel with us last time.
Wow.
My second granddaughter, Ellie Joy, that's just turned 10. We're carrying her to New York City in November. She's a dancer. And so we gotten her you can buy a ticket that she can go to practice with the Rockettes.
Oh, wow.
And so she's gonna get to dance with the Rockettes, and then we're gonna, take in a couple of shows that she would want to see. And so we love doing that. And I love seeing America. I've had the joy of preaching in about 45 of our 50 states, and we live in a great country.
Yeah.
I had the privilege of preaching in Liberia a couple of years ago. I've preached in Guatemala. I've preached in Israel. I've preached in Vancouver. I've had the joy of preaching some around the world, and it makes you proud of America with all of our warts and so forth. We're still a great nation, and so traveling kind of helps me keep that perspective of how great God has blessed America, and America has a responsibility because of the favor of God to be a blessing to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Now, can Rick and I apply to be your grandchildren so we can go on a trip like this too?
Yeah. What's the next double age for you?
I think it'd be going to triple, but I guess maybe.
Yeah.
Dr. Frank,
talk to my wife.
Okay.
Dr. Frank Cox, lead pastor at North Metro Baptist Church. Check them out in person or online, if you will. They do stream their services, but check them out there in Gwinnett, northmetro.net. Dr. Cox, thank you for your time. What a pleasure to talk with you. We'd love to talk to you again.
All right, Rick. I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, we do need to talk to him again to get these Ike Reichard stories.
Yes.
Hey, we'll just do one program on Ike Reichard.
And Ike would love that.
Usually when Ike would come by the studio back in the day when we used to do the show in the studio, Dan and I would just watch him play. I mean, he just got behind the microphone.
And he's gone. I tell you what, Ike and I have a special relationship. He and his first wife, Cindy, she died in childbirth. And so when my wife died of the brain tumor, who better to minister to me than Ike?
Yeah.
And we have common stories. And man, we love Ike and me and a guy by the name of Larry Wynn. We all went to college together, and we've been lifelong friends since then. And they're my best buddies in life.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We love Ike. Doc, thank you so much. Blessings to you. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.